Alright, in this video we are going to look at how to access any given cell in two-dimensional array. We know that accessing a given cell means that to read the value of given cell number. As we learned in one-dimensional array, we access the element of array using indexes. Here also indices take a vital role. In one-dimensional array, we have one index which starts from 0 and get increased by 1 sequentially, which represents the columns. Because as we said, in one-dimensional array, we have only one row and multiple columns. But here, in case of two-dimensional array, we have two indices. The first one represents the rows and the second one represents the columns. So for example, if you want to access this value over here, first you need to put the array name, then row index and then column index. Now in this case, array name is A, so the row index of this value is 0 and the column index of this value is 4. So to access this value over here, we are going to write something like this: array name, row index and column index. Now another example might be like this. So if, for example, if you want to access this value over here, one more time we are going to check row index. So the row index is this one, so which is 2, and then we are going to check column index. So the column index is this one, which is 5. So by writing array name and inside square brackets we are writing first row index, then the column index. So with this we are accessing this value of cell over here. Now based on this logic, let's see how this is working in practice. Now here inside two-dimensional array class, we have created our array and we have created constructor method to initialize the elements. Then in the last lecture we have created insert method, which is inserting value to the two-dimensional array. Now here under insertion method, I'm going to create a method which access the cell value from given array. Now the name of method will be access cell. So public void access cell. So we are making this one also in the two-dimensional array class because in this way all methods will be accessible by using two-dimensional array over here. Now this method over here, which is access cell, will take two parameters. So the first parameter will be the integer row, which shows the row index, and the second parameter will be integer column, which is for column index. Now here inside function, the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to print a message saying that accessing row number, this row number and column number is this one. Then we are going to print out the value. Now here in this case, I'm going to print out to the console this message. Now here I'm going to put something like this: accessing row number. So it's going to come from the row. So we are concatenating it. Then column number will be like this: col number plus col. Then after showing this message, then I'm going to write the rest code inside try and catch block, because as we said before, we need to write it in try and catch block to catch this exception over here. So for all methods that we are writing for two-dimensional array, we are going to write them in try and catch block. So in catch block, we are catching the array index out of bounds exception. So here also we are going to do same. So try, so with catch, I'm just going to copy this code from here and paste it over here because it's the same. So as we said, if we write an index which is outbound of this array that we have created over here, then in this case it's going to raise this exception over here. So when we are raising this exception, we need to print out to the console a meaningful message. Now in this case I'm printing out this one, so I will copy and paste it over here one more time, saying that invalid index for two-dimensional array. Now after doing so, inside try block, I'm going to access the value of this cell over here. So here the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to one more time print to the console saying that cell value is, then we are going to put cell value. Now how can we put the cell value? So as we said before, we are going to write array name. Now in this case array name is ARR. Then so first we are going to write row index. So row index comes from the parameter which is row. Then inside square brackets we are going to write column index. Now with this we are accessing the value of cell in two-dimensional array. Now this is all for this method. Now let's see how this is working in practice. Now here inside main class we have created our two-dimensional array, then we have inserted a value to this two-dimensional array. Then by using div2string method we have printed out this array to the console. Now instead of printing out this array, I'm just going to comment this part from here. I'm going to access the element of array. Now before accessing it, let's insert some other elements, because in this case we have created 3 to 3 matrix. So I'm going to insert one more element to do, for example, first row, second column. So in this case I'm going to put 20. Then I'm going to access this value over here. So it should print out 20 to the console. So SDA access cell. Then in this case row index will be 0 and column index will be 1. So let's run our code to see how this is working. Now here you see that we have an error in our code. So if I go back to our code, so here you see that I have forgot to put plus sign because we need to concatenate this value over here. So if I go back and run our code one more time, you will see that the error will disappear. Now here you see that first we are inserting this one, so it says that the value is inserted successfully. Then we are inserting 20. So the value is successfully inserted over here also. Then when we are calling this method, it says that accessing row number 0 and column number 1, which are the parameters that we have put here. So then it says that cell value is 20. So we access to this value over here. Now you see that everything works the way that we want. So this is how accessing an element of two-dimensional array works. Now let's see what is the time and space complexity for this method. Now, as always, we'll start from the first line of code. So in the first line of code, we are printing out message to the console. So in this case, it takes O1 time complexity. Then we have try block. So inside try block, we are printing out message to the console and accessing the value of cell. Now, when we are accessing the value of cell, as we said before, as the elements are located contiguously in the memory, we know the exact physical location of the array cell. So that's why accessing an array cell will take O1 time complexity. Now inside catch block, we are one more time printing out message to the console. So this one also will take O1 time complexity. Now if you combine all these complexities over here, it's going to take O1 time complexity. Now the space complexity is also O1 because in this case, for accessing an element of two-dimensional array, an extra memory is not required. So the space complexity is also O1. So hopefully everything is clear about this method. See you in the next lecture.